triceratops herd stood motionless at the forest edge, their massive bodies silhouetted against a sky bruised purple and gold. But something was wrong. The matriarch, 15 tons of muscle and horn that had survived droughts, territorial battles, and the birth of 7 calves, swayed on her feet. Her breath came in shallow, rattling gasps. Around her, the others shifted uneasily, sensing what they could not name. In the canopy above, pterosaurs that should have been shrieking their morning calls hung silent, watching. The air itself felt thick, charged, as if the atmosphere had contracted around the world, like a fist slowly closing. 70 miles above, invisible to every creature below, something ancient and infinitesimal drifted through the thermosphere, a microscopic passenger that had survived the crushing cold of space, the violence of atmospheric entry, the apocalyptic impact that would define this day as the boundary between ages. It had crossed the infinite dark between stars. It had waited, dormant, for millions of years in the frozen heart of rock. And now, in the warm, oxygen-rich paradise of the Cretaceous, it was waking up. Before we dive deeper into this forgotten prehistoric mystery, make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications, because this story only gets stranger from here. The matriarch collapsed, her legs folded beneath her with terrible finality, and the sound of her body meeting earth echoed across the clearing like a boulder dropped into still water. The herd did not scatter. They gathered around her instead, confused, their calls shifting from alarm to something that sounded almost like grief. This was not how nature worked in their experience. Predators, you could see. Hunger, you could feel. But this invisible corruption, spreading through blood and bone, this was something new, under the Sunday. Something is wrong. And in laboratories 65 million years later, scientists would gather around their own evidence, with the same confusion, the same dawning horror, asking themselves a question that felt like it belonged in science fiction rather than paleontology. What if the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs didn't act alone? What if it brought something with it? Something that had been waiting in the dark for its chance to inherit the Earth. The date burned into geological history is 66 million years ago. The location, the Yucatan Peninsula, though at that moment it was just shallow, tropical seas, teeming with ammonites and marine reptiles that had no names because there was no one to name them. An asteroid, 10 kilometers wide, a mountain, falling from heaven, struck the planet at 64,000 kilometers per hour. The impact vaporized rock. It created a crater 180 kilometers across and 20 kilometers deep. The energy released exceeded all nuclear weapons ever built by a factor of millions. Tsunamis, a kilometer high, radiated outward. The atmosphere itself briefly became an oven, hot enough to ignite forests on continents thousands of miles away. This is the story we know. The story is taught in textbooks. The comfortable narrative of simple cause and effect. Asteroid strikes planet. Planet becomes uninhabitable. Dominant species dies. But comfortable narratives rarely capture the whole truth. Dr. Sandra Arison stands in a laboratory at the University of Edinburgh, holding a fragment of amber the color of honey. Inside, suspended for eons, is a mosquito, but it's what's inside the mosquito that keeps her awake at night. Under electron microscopy, there are structures, protein chains, cellular fragments that don't match anything in the fossil record of Earth-based pathogens. They're too complex, too foreign, too deliberate in their architecture. I've been studying ancient diseases for 20 years, she tells me, her voice carrying the weight of someone who has glimpsed something they wish they could unsee. I've seen plague bacteria, ancient viruses, parasites that specialized in hunting specific prey. But this looks engineered, not by intelligence, by something worse, by time, by the universe itself, selecting for the perfect survivor. She rotates the amber under the light. This mosquito died 65.8 million years ago, right in the boundary layer, right when everything else was dying too. The boundary layer, that thin stripe of sediment that marks the end of the Cretaceous and the beginning of the Paleogene. It's found on every continent, a geological scar that encircles the planet like a scar from a ligature. In that layer, iridium, an element rare on Earth but common in asteroids, shocked quartz, created only by immense pressure, spherules, tiny glass beads formed when vaporized rock cooled in midair and fell like rain, and something else, something that doesn't fit the narrative. We find biological anomalies in that layer. Arison continues. Molecular signatures that suggest massive, rapid die-offs before the impact of winter could have set in, before starvation, before the cold. Something was killing them faster than geology alone can explain. Let's establish what we know with certainty. The extinction event at the Cretaceous-Paleogene boundary killed approximately 75% of all plant and animal species on Earth. The non-avian dinosaurs, creatures that had dominated terrestrial ecosystems for 165 million years, vanished completely. Marine reptiles, gone. Pterosaurs, gone. Ammonites, gone. But here's what troubles scientists. The pattern of death doesn't quite match the expected pattern of impact-induced extinction. Dr. Marcus Chen, a paleobiologist at Berkeley, has spent 15 years modeling extinction scenarios. His office is a chaos of charts, graphs, and computer models showing death spreading across prehistoric continents. The problem, he explains, gesturing to a map showing die-off rates across different regions, is timing. When you model an impact winter, the dust and aerosols blocking out the sun for months or years, you expect to see a specific sequence. Plants die first, then herbivores, then carnivores. You expect to see size selectivity, with larger animals dying faster because they need more food. He pulls up another chart. But that's not quite what we see in the fossil record. We see simultaneous die-offs across multiple trophic levels. We see small animals dying as fast as large ones in some locations. We see marine and terrestrial extinctions happening in lockstep, even though marine environments should have been somewhat buffered from atmospheric changes. He pauses. It's like something was actively killing them, not just removing their food source. The word hangs in the air. Actively. This is where the conversation shifts from conventional catastrophism to something more unsettling. Because if something was actively killing the dinosaurs, what was it? And where did it come from? Space is not empty. This is the first thing to understand. Between the stars, in the vast gulfs, where light takes millennia to travel from one hydrogen atom to the next, there are things living, not living as we understand it, not eating, growing, reproducing in the warm, wet, generous way of Earth-based life, but living nonetheless, persisting, waiting. Dr. Elena Volkov, an astrobiologist at MIT, studies extremophiles organisms that survive in conditions that would annihilate most life. She shows me cultures of bacteria that can withstand radiation doses 1,000 times lethal to humans, tardigrades that can survive the vacuum of space, bacterial spores that have been revived after being frozen for millions of years. Life is far more resilient than we ever imagined, she says. Every time we think we've found the limit, something survives beyond it. We found bacteria living in nuclear reactor cooling ponds, in subglacial lakes, isolated for millions of years, in acid that would dissolve steel, in boiling hydrothermal vents, in solid rock kilometers below the surface. She pulls up an image on her computer, a cluster of spherical structures, encased in what looks like crystal. These are bacterial spores we extracted from a meteorite that fell in Antarctica. They're 4.1 billion years old, older than any life on Earth. And they're still viable. We cultured them. I stare at the image. You're saying life can travel through space. I'm saying life has been traveling through space for billions of years. Panspermia, the idea that life seeds itself across the cosmos via asteroids and comets, isn't fringe science anymore. It's increasingly the best explanation for how life began on Earth so quickly after the planet became habitable. The building blocks were delivered from space. Maybe life itself was too. She leans back. But here's what keeps me up at night. If beneficial microbes can travel through space and seed new worlds with life, what about the other kind? Chromed. Imagine, for a moment, the asteroid as a Trojan horse, 10 kilometers of rock, metal, and ice, older than the solar system itself, hurtling through space at cosmic velocities. On its surface and buried deep within, pockets of organic molecules, frozen water, and dormant microorganisms that have survived conditions that would sterilize any laboratory on Earth. They've endured radiation that strips atoms apart, temperatures near absolute zero, the crushing vacuum, millions of years of dormancy. They are, in every sense that matters, the perfect invaders. They do not need food, water, or air. They do not age. They simply wait, locked in a state between life and death, until conditions become favorable. Then the asteroid enters Earth's atmosphere. The friction is immense enough to vaporize the outer layers, to create a fireball brighter than 1,000 suns. But the interior remains relatively cool, protected by kilometers of rock. The deep core temperature barely rises. And when the asteroid strikes the Yucatan, punching through the crust and into the mantle, it doesn't just create a crater. It creates a dispersal event. Trillions of tons of pulverized rock, water vapor, and organic material are ejected into the atmosphere. The debris cloud circles the planet within days, and within that cloud, distributed on particles of dust, small enough to stay aloft for years, are the microbes. They rain down on every continent. They settle into oceans. They infiltrate the soil, the water table, and the food chain. And in the warm, oxygen-rich, biologically naive environment of the Cretaceous Earth, they begin to wake up. Dr. Morrison's voice echoes in my memory. This looks engineered by time, by the universe itself, selecting for the perfect survivor. What if the asteroid impact wasn't just a physical catastrophe? What if it was also a biological one, the most successful invasion in Earth's history? The fossil record doesn't preserve disease well. Soft tissue rarely survives. Viruses leave no bones. But sometimes, if you know what to look for, the evidence remains. Dr. James Reeves is a paleopathologist, someone who studies ancient diseases through fossilized remains. His laboratory at Oxford contains drawers upon drawers of dinosaur bones, each catalogued and analyzed for signs of illness. He pulls out a femur from a hadrosaur, a duck-billed dinosaur that died in what is now Montana. "Look here," he says, pointing to strange pitting on the bone's surface. This is called osteomyelitis bone infection. It's caused by bacteria entering the bloodstream and colonizing the bone tissue. Now, We find this sometimes in dinosaur fossils. Animals got injured, bacteria got in, infections happened. Normal paleontology. He sets down that bone and picks up another. But this is from the boundary layer. And look at the distribution. The pitting covers the entire bone, not just one injury site, but systematic, widespread damage. This animal's entire skeletal system was being consumed by infection when it died. Its immune system had completely failed. He shows me more bones. A triceratops with similar systemic infection. An Edmontosaurus, a Tyrannosaurus rex specimen with jaw lesions that suggest its mouth was riddled with infection it couldn't fight off. We see this pattern increasingly as we get closer to the boundary layer. Animals that should have been healthy, that show no signs of trauma or starvation, but whose bones suggest immune collapse. It's subtle, easy to miss if you're not looking for it, but once you see it, it's everywhere. He pauses. It's the same pattern we'd see if a novel pathogen entered the ecosystem, something their immune systems had never encountered before, something they had no defense against. The hair on my arm stands up. You're saying you can see the plague in their bones. I'm saying we can see something. Whether it came from space or emerged naturally, I can't prove. But timing is everything. And this timing, right at the impact, that's not coincidence. Let's talk about viruses for a moment. About what they are and what they do. A virus is not alive in the traditional sense. It's a packet of genetic information wrapped in protein, a message written in the language of DNA or RNA, seeking a cellular translator. It cannot be eaten. It cannot move under its own power. It cannot reproduce alone. But when it finds a host cell, it becomes something more than its parts. It hijacks the cellular machinery, turning the host into a factory that produces copies of itself. Thousands of copies, millions, until the cell bursts, releasing its viral payload to infect neighboring cells. Now imagine a virus that evolved not on Earth, but in the harsh, radiation-soaked environment of space. Its RNA would be different, hardened against cosmic rays, optimized for dormancy, capable of activating in response to specific chemical signatures. It would be, in essence, a genomic lockpick designed to open cells that had never evolved defenses against it. Dr. Rachel Torres, a virologist at the CDC, studies zoonotic diseases, pathogens that jump from animals to humans. She understands, better than most, what happens when an organism encounters a pathogen for the first time. Look at what happened when Europeans brought smallpox to the Americas, she explains. The indigenous populations had no immunity. Entire civilizations collapsed. Mortality rates exceeded 90% in some regions. Not because smallpox is particularly lethal, Europeans survived it regularly, but because it was novel. Their immune systems had no memory of it, no prepared response. She pulls up a molecular model of a virus on her screen. Now imagine a pathogen, not just from another continent, but another world. An organism whose protein structures, whose genetic code, whose reproductive strategy is fundamentally alien to everything Earth-based immune systems evolved to fight. It wouldn't just be deadly, it would be unstoppable. I ask her if such a thing is even possible. If Earth-based cells could even be infected by something alien. That's the terrifying question, she responds. Because we know that viruses can jump species. They do it all the time. Influenza jumps from birds to pigs to humans. Rabies infects every mammal. HIV came from primates. If a pathogen is adaptable enough, if it targets fundamental cellular processes that are universal to life, DNA, replication, protein synthesis, cellular respiration, then yes, it could infect across immense evolutionary distances. She zooms in on a section of the viral protein. And here's the thing, these basic processes, they're ancient. They evolved billions of years ago, before life diversified into all its current forms. If panspermia is real, if life throughout the universe shares a common ancestor, then we might all be vulnerable to the same fundamental attacks. The room feels suddenly colder. Dr. Arrison's laboratory in Edinburgh has become something of a pilgrimage site for scientists wrestling with the extinction mystery. She's developed a technique for extracting and analyzing organic molecules from amber and sediment samples, looking for chemical signatures of ancient pathogens. The process is painstaking. Fragments of stone are dissolved in acid. The residue is filtered, centrifuged, analyzed through mass spectrometry and electron microscopy. Most samples yield nothing useful, but occasionally, very occasionally, something appears. She shows me an image captured at 50,000x magnification. It looks like a geometric flower, a cluster of protein structures arranged with unnerving symmetry. This is from a sediment core drilled in Montana, from precisely the boundary layer, that thin stripe of clay that marks the exact moment of the impact. The structure is beautiful and alien, like architecture from a dream. We've compared this to every known viral structure, every bacterial protein, every organic molecule in our databases. It doesn't match anything, not closely. It has similarities. It's carbon-based. It follows the basic rules of biochemistry, but the details are wrong. Like finding a hand with 6 fingers, functional, but not from here. She shows me more images, different samples from different continents, all from the boundary layer, and in each, variations of the same strange structures. They're globally distributed. We find them in marine sediments, terrestrial deposits, even in amber from that period. Whatever this was, it was everywhere. And then, above the boundary layer, it disappears. We find no trace of it in later rocks. It died out, I ventured, or went dormant again, she counters, or evolved into something we can't recognize, or was out, competed by Earth's native microbiome, once the initial wave of susceptible hosts died off. She turns off the microscope. But here's what I keep coming back to. These structures appear simultaneously with the iridium spike, the shocked quartz, the impact spherules, everything that proves the asteroid hit. They're part of the same event, the same moment, the same catastrophe. Let me paint you a picture of what the extinction might have looked like. If the space virus theory is true, the asteroid strikes at dawn, Yucatan time. The Triceratops herd we met. At the beginning, they're in Montana, thousands of miles away. They don't see the impact. They don't feel the immediate shockwave. For the first few hours, their world seems unchanged. Then the sky begins to brighten at the wrong time, in the wrong direction. The ejector is re-entering the atmosphere, burning up in a second sunrise that comes from everywhere at once. The air temperature rises. Forests ignite spontaneously. Animals flee in confusion, but there's nowhere to run. The entire sky is on fire. The matriarch leads her herd into a river water, might protect them from the heat. They huddle together, bodies pressed close, as ash begins to fall like snow. The water steams. Pterosaurs drop from the sky, their wings burned, their lungs scalded. The world is ending, but they don't have the consciousness to understand it. They only know fear, pain, confusion. The firestorm passes. The survivors emerge into darkness. The ash cloud is so thick that day has become night. The temperature plunges, and on every ash particle, coating every surface, mixed with the moisture in the air, are the microbes. The matriarch breathes them in. They settle in her lungs, her eyes, her mouth. The rest of the herd does the same. Within hours, the infection begins. It starts subtly. A fever, lethargy. The animals stop grazing, though grass remains. They stop drinking, though water surrounds them. Their immune systems mount a response, but it's fighting shadows, targeting proteins it doesn't recognize, deploying defenses that don't work against this alien biochemistry. Within days, the herd is decimated, not by starvation or cold, but by cascading organ failure. Their bodies turn against themselves. Immune responses spiraling into cytokine storms that cause more damage than the pathogen itself. The calves die first, their smaller bodies overwhelmed, then the juveniles. Finally, the matriarch collapses, for the last time, her breath rattling, her eyes dimming, surrounded by the dead. This scene repeats across the planet. In forests where Tyrannosaurus hunted, in plains where hadrosaur herds thundered, in oceans where mosasaurs ruled. The pathogen doesn't care about size or strength or evolutionary success. It just replicates, spreads, kills. The asteroid impact has made the planet vulnerable, ecosystems disrupted, food chains collapsing, stress weakening every organism's immune system. The virus thrives in the chaos. It's not the sole killer, but it's a multiplier, accelerating death beyond what the impact alone could achieve. 65 million years later, we find their bones and wonder what happened. The physical evidence tells us about the asteroid, but the biological evidence, the subtle signatures of immune collapse, the strange proteins in the sediment, the patterns of death that don't quite fit, that tells a different story. A story about invasion, about life seeding itself across the cosmos, not always beneficially, about the universe being far more dangerous than we imagined. In 2019, a team of researchers from NASA's Astrobiology Institute conducted an experiment that received surprisingly little media attention, despite its implications. They wanted to know if microorganisms could survive not just space travel, but atmospheric entry, the violent, heat-intensive process of returning to Earth. They placed bacterial spores inside specially designed capsules, mounted on the exterior of the International Space Station. The bacteria were exposed to the vacuum of space, cosmic radiation, and temperature extremes for 3 years. Then, the capsules were returned to Earth, experiencing the same heating and deceleration forces as a small meteorite. The results: 30% of the bacteria survived, dormant but viable, capable of reactivation. Dr. Akihiro Tanaka, who led the study, published his findings in the journal Astrobiology. "We proved that life can survive interplanetary transfer," he explained in interviews. "Not just hypothetically, but actually, the implications are profound. Earth may have been seeded with life from Mars, or Mars from Earth. And if life can travel between planets, it can travel between star systems, given enough time. But there's a darker corollary to this discovery. If beneficial microbes can survive, so can harmful ones. The cosmos becomes not just a potential source of life, but a vector for death." Dr. Chen, the paleobiologist, has been modeling what would happen if a space-borne pathogen arrived with the Chicxulub asteroid. His simulations incorporate everything we know about the impact, the environmental effects, and the biological vulnerabilities of Cretaceous organisms. The key factor, he explains, is that the asteroid didn't just kill through immediate effects. It created a cascade of stress that made every organism more vulnerable to secondary threats. Food scarcity, temperature fluctuations, atmospheric changes. These all suppress immune function. An animal that could normally fight off an infection becomes immunocompromised. His model shows two extinction curves. The blue line represents death from impact effects alone. Asteroid winter, starvation, ecological collapse. The extinction rate plateaus around 60% after 5 years. The red line adds a novel pathogen to the simulation, something with high virulence, but low host specificity, capable of jumping between species. The extinction rate shoots up to 75% within 2 years. The asteroid and the pathogen work synergistically. Chen continues. The asteroid creates the conditions for pandemic spread. The pathogen accelerates death beyond what starvation alone would cause. Together, they produce the extinction pattern we actually see in the fossil record. He meets my eyes. The math works. It explains the data better than any single cause model. The question isn't whether a space virus could have contributed to the extinction. The question is, how do we prove it? Amber is ancient tree resin, fossilized over millions of years into a gold-orange gemstone. It's also one of the best preservatives in nature, capable of maintaining DNA and cellular structures in extraordinary detail. Dr. Arison has access to one of the largest collections of Cretaceous amber in the world, housed in a climate-controlled vault beneath the university. She leads me through rows of drawers, each containing dozens of samples. Most are small, marble-sized, but occasionally there are larger pieces, some as big as a fist, containing entire ecosystems, frozen in time, beetles, flies, plant material, and most significantly for her research, blood-feeding insects. Mosquitoes, biting flies, ticks. These are our windows into the blood of the Cretaceous, she explains, carefully extracting a specimen. Inside the amber, perfectly preserved, is a mosquito. Its abdomen is distended, dark, with its final blood meal. We can extract DNA from blood inside these insects. We've sequenced dinosaur proteins this way, confirming their evolutionary relationships to modern birds. But DNA isn't all we find. She shows me electron microscope images of material extracted from similar specimens. Amid the expected cellular debris, red blood cells, platelets, plasma proteins, are other structures, viral particles, bacterial cells, and those strange geometric structures that appear in the boundary layer sediments. These images are from amber dated to 65.9 million years ago, very close to extinction, and look at the density of viral particles. The image shows hundreds of tiny, geometric shapes clustered around a blood cell. That's a viral load consistent with active, systemic infection. This dinosaur was sick when the mosquito bit it. Very sick. She shows me more samples, different insects, different species of dinosaur prey, but the same pattern: high viral loads, unusual protein structures, evidence of immune response. Now look at this, she says, pulling up images from amber dated to just before the extinction, 66.5 million years ago. Viral particles are present, but much fewer, and they're all recognizable Earth-based pathogens. Nothing anomalous. The change is stark. Before the boundary, normal. At the boundary, chaos. Something changed at the moment of impact, she says quietly. The microbial ecosystem of the planet was radically altered, and the animals that lived through it couldn't adapt fast enough. Here's something that surprises many people. The space virus theory isn't new. It's been whispered about in academic circles for decades, discussed in papers with careful, tentative language, explored in fringe conferences, and ignored by mainstream paleontology. Why the silence? Why hasn't this theory received more attention? Dr. Reeves, the paleopathologist, offers an explanation. Science is conservative by nature. We require extraordinary evidence for extraordinary claims, and claiming that a space virus helped kill the dinosaurs, that's about as extraordinary as it gets. He's right, of course. The asteroid impact theory itself took decades to be accepted, despite clear evidence. Scientists are trained to seek the simplest explanation, and an invisible, unprovable pathogen is anything but simple. But there's another factor: fear. If we prove that asteroids can carry deadly pathogens, Dr. Volkov says, if we prove that space is filled with microscopic threats that Earth's biosphere has no defense against, then we have to confront a terrifying reality. We're vulnerable. The next asteroid that impacts Earth, and there will be a next one, eventually might not just be a rock, it might be a Trojan horse. The implications extend beyond paleontology into planetary defense, public health, space exploration. If Mars harbors dormant microbes, should we be sending astronauts there? If we capture an asteroid to mine it, are we risking biological contamination? If panspermia is real, what happens when we encounter life from other worlds? These aren't just scientific questions, they're existential ones. We live in a post-pandemic world now. We've experienced, firsthand, what happens when a novel pathogen enters a naive population. We've seen how quickly infection spreads, how healthcare systems collapse, how death can arrive invisibly, carried on breath and touch. COVID-19 killed millions, but its mortality rate was relatively low, around 1 to 2% globally. Imagine a pathogen with a 75% mortality rate. Imagine one that could jump between species freely, infecting mammals, birds, reptiles, without barrier. Imagine one that arrived not through natural spillover, but via asteroid impact, distributed globally within days. Dr. Torres, the virologist, has thought about this too much. The dinosaurs had no CDC, no WHO, no vaccines or antivirals. They couldn't social distance or quarantine. They couldn't even understand what was happening to them. A pandemic in the Cretaceous would have been absolutely unstoppable. She pulls up data from modern zoonotic outbreaks. We track spillover events, constantly viruses, jumping from animals to humans. Most burn out quickly, but occasionally one adapts, spreads, becomes a pandemic. Now imagine thousands of spillover events happening simultaneously, globally, as a space-borne pathogen encountered every species on Earth for the first time. The parallel is chilling. Our pandemic was limited to one species, humanity. Theirs would have encompassed entire ecosystems. And here's the final horror, Torres continues. The species most likely to survive a pandemic are those with genetic diversity, large populations, and short generation times. Small mammals, insects, bacteria, exactly what survived the K-Peg extinction. The dinosaurs long-lived, slow to reproduce, genetically bottlenecked. After millions of years of dominance, they were perfectly vulnerable. Evolution, in a sense, had made them fragile. Their success had become their weakness. Let's step back and see the whole picture now. The evidence, circumstantial though it may be, forms a pattern. A 10-kilometer impactor that struck the Yucatan 66 million years ago, creating the Chicxulub crater. Undeniable. Impact debris circled the planet within days. Anything on or in that asteroid was distributed worldwide. Confirmed. Experiments prove bacteria can survive space travel and atmospheric entry. Panspermia is scientifically viable. Anomalous. Death occurred faster and more synchronously than impact effects alone can easily explain. Size selectivity is inconsistent. Marine and terrestrial extinctions are unusually synchronized. Suggestive. Fossils show signs of systemic infection and immune collapse. Amber preserves unusual viral particles. Sediments contain anomalous protein structures. Perfect. All evidence converges at the boundary layer, the exact moment of impact. No single piece of evidence proves the space virus theory, but together they form what Dr. Chen calls a compelling circumstantial case. In science, we rarely get absolute proof, he explains. We get accumulations of evidence that make one explanation more likely than others. Right now, the space virus theory explains details about the extinction that the impact alone theory struggles with. Does that make it true? No. Does it make it worthy of serious investigation? Absolutely. The scientific community is slowly coming around. Papers that would have been rejected a decade ago are now appearing in respected journals. Conferences include panels on extraterrestrial pathogens. Funding is being directed toward research that once seemed too speculative. We're at the beginning of a paradigm shift. The question is no longer whether a space virus is possible. It's whether we can prove one existed. Let me take you back one last time to the Cretaceous, to those final days before the world changed forever. The impact has happened. The sky is dark with ash. The temperature swings wildly, scorching during the fires, then plummeting as the sun vanishes. But life, tenacious and adaptable, attempts to continue. In what will become Montana, a young triceratops huddles beneath a fallen log. She survived the initial catastrophe through luck. She was feeding in a valley when the firestorm passed over, the geography shielding her from the worst heat. She's hungry now. There's no green vegetation left, only charred stumps and ash. She manages to find some roots, some tubers buried beneath the devastation. She eats. She drinks from a stagnant pool. She endures. But in her lungs, the infection is spreading. The microbes entered with the ash she breathed, settled in the warm, moist environment of her respiratory tract, and began replicating. Her immune system fights back antibodies, T cells, inflammation, but it's fighting blind. The pathogen's proteins are shaped wrong, coded wrong, evolved in a different world with different rules. The fever comes next. Her body temperature rises, trying to kill the infection with heat, but the microbes have survived the cold of space, the radiation of the void. A fever is nothing to them. She becomes disoriented. The infection has spread to her brain, crossing the blood-brain barrier and causing encephalitis. She stumbles, falls, struggles to rise. Around her, the landscape is littered with corpses, other dinosaurs, other species. All fell to the same invisible killer. A small mammal, a creature no larger than a rat, watches from a burrow. It's hungry too, but it's surviving. Its immune system, more adaptable, more evolutionarily plastic, is managing to fight off the infection. Not well, but well enough. It will live through the crisis. Its descendants will inherit the empty world the dinosaurs leave behind. The Triceratops's breathing becomes labored. Her eyes glaze. And then, with a final, shuddering breath, she dies. Not from starvation, not from the cold, but from an invasion that began in the stars and ended here, in the mud and ash of a dying world. Her body will fossilize. Millions of years from now, paleontologists will find her bones, study them, marvel at them, and wonder what her last days were like. They'll see the impact evidence and assume they know, but the whole truth, the microbes, the invasion, the biological catastrophe, layered atop the physical one that will take longer to uncover. Much longer. The extinction event lasted, geologically speaking, an instant. The recovery took millions of years. Slowly, the skies cleared. Sunlight returned. Plants began to grow. Ferns first, hardy and fast-growing. Then trees, then forests. Insects returned. Small mammals emerged from burrows and began to diversify. Birds, the only surviving dinosaurs, took to the air. The world was empty now. The great ecological niches the dinosaurs had filled for 165 million years stood vacant. And into that emptiness, life poured with explosive creativity. Mammals, previously small and marginal, began to evolve into every conceivable form. In 10 million years, there would be mammals the size of the dinosaurs they replaced. In 65 million years, there would be humans. We are the inheritors of the catastrophe, the descendants of the survivors. Our entire existence is owed to whatever killed the dinosaurs, whether asteroid alone or asteroid plus, invisible invader. But here's what keeps scientists like Dr. Morrison, Dr. Chen, Dr. Volkov awake at night. The universe hasn't changed. Asteroids still hurtle through space. Comets still carry organic materials. Microbes still drift in the dark between worlds, dormant and patient. The next impact is coming. We don't know when. Could be 1,000 years, could be 1,000,000, but it's coming. And when it arrives, it might carry more than rock and ice. We need to take the space virus theory seriously, Dr. Morrison says, not just as paleontology, but as planetary defense. If we're going to deflect asteroids, if we're going to mine them or redirect them, we need to understand that they might be biologically active. We need protocols for detection, containment, and sterilization.